Hi, I'm Lucy and welcome to Beautifully Unfinished, a space where we talk about life as it really is, the messy, the meaningful, and everything in between. This episode was inspired by recent events and something quite special to me because recently I flew to Cape Town. It wasn't just any trip. It was one of those moments in life that you know that even while you're in it, that it's going to stay with you forever. My son Keegan graduated as a mechanical engineer, and as a mother, I don't know quite how to explain what it feels like. Because yes, it's his achievement, his discipline, but there's also something deeply personal in it. And to be quite honest, there is a bit of relief that those university fees are finally done. But beyond that, it's something that sits quietly in your heart in a way that is hard to put into words. But I'm going to give it a try. I was there with my ex-husband and I felt genuinely proud that we could be united for Keegan, that we could sit there together as his parents, watching our son step into his future. And I have to be honest, I did hold it together far better than I ever expected. Although I'm not entirely sure how I managed to do that. But my only conclusion is it's probably a bit of the British in me, you know, that stiff upper lip part. My goodness, was it hard. Because when his name was called, Keegan Peter Shaw, and he walked across that stage, something in me shifted. I wasn't quite prepared for it. My bottom lip started to shake and quiver, and suddenly my vision was blurred as if I was driving through a rainstorm without wipers. And all that came out was this tiny, controlled little burst of, "Well done, Keegs." There were no tears streaming down my face as I expected, no big emotional release. Just quiet holding it all in because I knew that if I let it go even a little bit, oh my Lord, those floodgates would open. And yet I felt everything inside all at once. Maybe that's what motherhood or parenthood is all about. You know, the overwhelming pride and sadness and happiness and this wealth of oceans and oceans of emotion that sit there quietly below the surface. To be frank, the whole week carried that same sense of fullness. Everywhere we went just felt a little bit richer, a little bit more meaningful. And yes, we ate a little bit too much, as you do when you're away. The highlight of the food journey was the seafood platter. We went to this place called Codfather. It's one of those fish market style restaurants where there is no menu and you literally have to choose your fish, they weigh it and you pay at the end. The daunting part of all of this and the clue in all of this was the Lamborghinis and Ferraris parked outside. So I was a little daunted, a little anxious. Maybe I would have enjoyed the meal a little bit more than I actually did. But I was very pleasantly surprised at the end that it was actually quite reasonable. But it was an experience and it was an event. The event and experiences carried on. We went on to watch the theatre Pretty Woman, where it depicted the movie with Richard Gere. And my goodness, you sit back, take in all the culture and the talent and the energy. It was just quite incredible. Of course, I visited some wine farms. It was very clearly needed my expert opinion, purely for quality control purposes, but I did enjoy it. We even managed to throw in some tea and scones and clotted creams. That was fantastic. There was moments of laughter, quiet moments, and there was that unmistakable magic of Cape Town. Something about the Cape. Maybe it's the vastness of that magnificent ocean, or the way that the mountains hold back the city. It's the beauty of Stellenbosch with its rows of oaks and maple trees, just a mix of people, culture, the history, all coming together in a way that makes you feel both small and deeply connected at the same time. At one point, we're driving down this beautiful coastline and I found myself just staring blankly out at the sea, wondering and dreaming and wondering what lies beneath all of that, fully aware that there's always something going on, a lot more than what we can actually see. And it felt like a gentle reminder that life itself is often like that. It's layered, it's deeper than it appears. As we continued driving, we passed the Groot Square Hospital, where the first human heart transplant took place. And I found myself thinking about Christian Barnard, a man who once had a dream that must have seemed impossible at that time. Yet he went on to achieve something quite extraordinary, something that has literally changed the world. And in that moment, it struck me that it wasn't just a goal that he achieved. It was a dream backed by belief, courage, and lots of action. And that thought stayed with me because it made me wonder how many dreams are realized and how many dreams just remain or get left unfinished. Then we're driving through the city and we pass something that caught me completely off guard. It's an overhead highway that simply stops in mid-air. I've put a picture up here. There's no continuation. It's just a massive concrete structure that just ends abruptly. It was such a strange and almost surreal sight that I couldn't stop looking at it. Until someone said, "That's the road to nowhere." But I remembered thinking, it's not a road to nowhere at all. It was meant to go somewhere. I couldn't let go of that image because it made me start thinking about my own life, about my dreams, about my goals, and how different they are. Because my son graduating was a goal, something measurable, something he worked towards with a clear outcome. But for me, that moment, that was a dream. One I didn't even realize I'd been carrying all these years. It made me ask myself something quite uncomfortable. Do I even remember my own dreams anymore? Because somewhere along the way, I got busy. Got busy being a mother, busy being a wife, busy working, busy providing, busy being a daughter, busy holding everything together, busy surviving. And when you're in survival mode, you don't dream. You simply do what needs to be done. You keep going. You push through. You show up. And slowly, without even realizing it, those dreams begin to fade into the background. Not all at once, but little by little. Until one day you look up and you realize you started something once. You can't quite remember what it was or where it meant to lead. Oh my goodness, then there's another layer. It's the world we live in now, where everything, instead of dreaming, we scroll. We watch other people living what looks like their dream lives on social media, getting those quick little dopamine hits of admiration, comparison, or even longing. But they pass so quickly, and somehow while we're watching everyone else, we lose touch with ourselves. And maybe it's not that life got busy. Maybe it's that over time we stopped believing that our dreams were possible. That somewhere along the way they were given an expiry date. And that if we didn't achieve it by a certain age, then that was it. Done and dusted. In the middle of all of this, I found myself reflecting on someone who changed the world. Nelson Mandela. Here was a man who carried a dream, not just for himself, but for an entire nation. He spent 27 years in prison holding on to that dream. 27 years. Can you imagine? Can you even begin to imagine holding on to a vision of something better than your own life while your life is effectively on hold? Yet he didn't let go. He didn't decide it was too late. He didn't allow that dream to expire. He held onto it quietly and consistently, through time, through pain, through uncertainty, and eventually he lived to see that dream realized. As I moved through Cape Town, I saw reminders of him everywhere. in the clothing and the murals and the graffiti and the way his presence is felt. Even beyond Cape Town, there are statues of him everywhere, standing tall in parts of the country, almost quiet markers of what is possible when belief endures. And it made me pause. Because if a dream can survive 27 years in a prison cell, then maybe mine hasn't disappeared at all. Maybe it's simply waiting. And that led me to a different question. What if this stage of life, this midlife, this season I find myself in now, isn't about things ending, but about remembering? Because yes, I've changed. Life has shaped me, stretched me a lot, strengthened me in ways I couldn't have even imagined. But deep down, I'm still that little girl with big dreams. The one who believed anything was possible. Or more truthfully, the one who believed I'm possible, not impossible. And maybe dreams don't just come true by chance. Maybe they come alive when we choose to believe again and when we take action. Even if it's just the smallest little step forward. And maybe the dream doesn't have to look the same anymore. Maybe it's evolved into something quieter, deeper, more meaningful. Maybe it's still there, not gone, not finished, just paused, a bit like that road. And maybe, just maybe, it's not too late to start building again, but not from the beginning, but from right where you are now. Because unfinished doesn't mean it's over. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It really does mean more than you know. And if this episode resonated with you, I would truly appreciate it if you would like, follow, and subscribe, because it actually just helps keep this podcast going and allows me to continue sharing these moments with you. And if there's someone out there in your life who you feel needs this reminder that their dreams are still waiting, I would love for you to share this episode with them. I hope you'll join me again next week. And until then, take a little time to dream, and then take one step into action. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.